Thanks for tuning in, guys. Today's topic of this video is symmetry. Is it possible to attain a symmetrical physique? I can't tell you how many times there are questions out in orbit just floating around in space of, my left arm is bigger than my right arm. How do I make it equal? Or, I have a discrepancy in my upper back, one side to the other. How can I make that weaker side look the same as the other? I don't know. I honestly believe that the answer is, to a certain extent, you can't. You can only take control of the things you can control. So let's think about the body as a unit. Let's think about the way that you were kind of born and bred to be from the moment that you came out of the womb and grew into a beautiful young lady or a semi-pretty older man. I mean, men aren't that pretty, so like whatever, a cute or let's think about that, okay? So are you ambidextrous? Probably not. You're one side dominant. Have you been leading with the same leg up the stairs every single day of most of your life? Probably. You probably step to that first step with the same leg every time. Do you typically bend down and reach for something off the ground with the same arm? Do you typically sit favoring one side over the other as far as how you sit with your pelvis? Probably. So what I'm trying to point out here is we've created these movement patterns for better function in our life based off of things that our body and our brain has perceived as being efficient. And the ideal scenario for breaking that is not ideal. We can't do that. When you go into the gym and you train, you're training in this very symmetrical, same side, moving, exactly perfect environment, and your body's not like that. And honestly, if I'm being completely brutally honest, that's the reason why we get a lot of aches and pains, is because we're forcing one side to go into a range that it can't, and one side maybe is working in a range that it can, while they're both moving at the same time. So let's rewind. Let's recap. Can you make your body symmetrical? Can your biceps measure exactly the same on the left as the right? Well, if you're a freak of nature and you're blessed to be so, maybe, okay? But the ideal answer to that is probably no. All you can take account for and have control over is how you choose to train those sides, discrepancies, for progress, for health, for results. And the easiest scenario to that is just make that, is to just have them work independently. Independency is going to force a lack of coordination on one side to improve, or a lack of mobility on one side to improve, or a lack of stability, strength on one side around a joint to improve, okay? But even in that improvement, don't put all your cards on the side of the fact that it's automatically going to change. Because remember, your body has been doing things at an efficient level based off of you for a long time. And the chances of breaking that from a neurological standpoint just really aren't going to happen, okay? If you're not training in pain, and if you're not having a hard time working out, if you're seeing progress and results, if things are improving and you're going through your timetable of working out and things are good, I wouldn't overanalyze it. Just make sure that you're able to move into the ranges of motion that you want to move in on both sides, front and back, up and down, circles, all this movement, just how you'd like to, okay? But I really wouldn't overthink it, all right? The one last thing to point out is the fact that we only look at our body externally, on the outside. We look at a back, for instance, it's got a lot of muscles going through it, and we pick it apart and we go, well, this side is smaller than this side, but this side is bigger than this side. What's going on? How can I change it? What you're not realizing is on outside of those external things that your body's doing for really convenient function, on the inside your body is not symmetrical. You have some organs that are stuffed over here, and more so up here, and more so down here. So your body has to balance that out somehow, right? You have to have this center of mass to where you're not really walking around like this. Everything is in a straight line or moving forward in space or sitting upright or what have you, okay? And you can't just go in and jab yourself in the stomach and shift those organs around. That's just not going to happen. So the ideal, in my opinion, of having a symmetrical, perfect looking physique on paper or in a picture where it's like, wow, everything is completely balanced, just not going to happen. And if you don't believe me, go to the guys that have been coined the symmetrical bodybuilders of all time, like your Flex Wheelers or even Flex Lewis, or some of these guys that have really, really blessed physiques, your Ronnie Colemans, your Dorians, some of these guys that have had awesome top caliber physiques. Look at them at their best conditioned shape and look at each individual muscle group, specifically from the back, and tell me that everything is exactly the same. I'm waiting. It's not, okay? So the best thing that you can do is don't get too obsessed with this idea. Make sure your body performs the same left to right, front to back. Train it in a place to where it's strong and it's healthy. Don't confine it to move into ranges on one side that the other side can do well. That's why you work them independently, and just have fun with your training, okay? You're not going to be a perfectly symmetrical person, nor are you supposed to. You were not born that way. We're one side dominant for a reason. We do things from a functional standpoint for a reason. Stop trying to change that.